YouTube, welcome back. What the crap is going on? And let me be the first to say welcome to the shootout in the jungle. Folks, this battle is mad. You're going to enjoy it. And it's awesome. That's all I'm going to say. It's awesome. Actually, I'm going to say a lot more because this is a commentary battle. How y'all doing? I am doing well. It's been a busy week with work, and the internet is, of course, as always, quite slow when you're in a hotel room. And of course, my lappy that I'm recording this on is very strong for gaming, but a laptop in editing, rip. I've got two heavy-duty PCs at home that I do a lot of my rendering on. But hey, this little laptop's doing its best. It's keeping up. And, running those fans at thousands of RPMs to stay alive and not melt down. Anyway, welcome to the battle. Welcome to a Empire versus Vampire, or should I say Vampirates battle. So I was about to say Vampire Coast, but we all know they're the Vampirates. And they're going to be led by none other than the Queen of Salt, who must buy... sorry, the camera here. Yeah, they are led by the Queen of Salt, none other than Miss Aranessa Saltspite, who no doubt must be a fan of Carthage deep in her heart because of the salt levels that she brings to the battlefield. Gotta love the sawfish legs there. In any case, let's check out the different armies here. There are going to be 4 carronades on behalf of the Vampirates. This gives them some serious skirmishing capability from long range, but that's what Vampirates do. They shoot you. That's pretty much their shtick. If we take a look here, there are going to be 4 pirate deckhand mobs up front, and then there's going to be several zombie pirate gunnery mobs with handguns mixed all over the place here. A lot of firepower from the coast. No big surprise. A few pirate deckhand mobs with polearms. I don't know why that is tongue-tying me tonight, but it is. Then we're going to have a couple of Morghuls, one of which is the Night Terrors, who bring you night terrors, meaning that they help you urinate in your bed while you're asleep due to all the bad dreams about having to go to school rather than being able to play Warhammer or enjoy the summer. I know, it's terrifying, but that's what these guys do. In any case, they are going to be interesting units, of course, because they do heavy damage versus infantry. They have a little bit of armor piercing. They stalk units. Quite nice to have on the battlefield. So let's go check out the Empire army. The Empire army has a couple of cannons itself, one of which is the Hammer of Witches. I don't know if there's any witches across from them, but there's quite a few zombies and at least a salt witch who might need hammering, so they will take care of it. There's going to be a couple of spearmen up front, and that's really most of the infantry that's at least being presented frontally by the Empire. There are a couple of units of handguns and many units of crossbows mixed in back here. I'll go ahead and hit the tab key so you can kind of see the different unit numbers there. So there's going to be 3 crossbows and 2 handguns. And then there is further infantry hidden back in the woods. There is a unit of flagellants. There's Sigmar's sons, some swordsmen and spearmen, and then there are a couple of Empire knights, and then one very sneaky pistolier hidden way out here to the flank. Pistolier could be a potentially handy unit if used properly. There is a Bright Wizard astride his horse, and then we have Volkmar also astride his horse with the Grand Hammer of Sigmar and his ability to heal. And then for the Bright Wizard, we're going to have Burning Head and the Fireball, which can be quite nice against factions that have a lot of units that could potentially regenerate, be low armor, or just otherwise be nice targets for the Fireball. It's very long range. It causes tremendous damage when used properly. There's going to be a protracted artillery duel at the beginning of this battle, which I figured you all might enjoy. This is going to be Napoleon Total Warhammer here for a short while. Yes, the Emperor would be proud to see this many field guns and muskets out on the battlefield. It's too bad this game doesn't have like the giant billowing clouds of smoke that we got to see on Napoleon Total War. I would love to see that make a return to Total War for gunpowder units. It was really quite impressive. I'm going to see the Bright Wizard here. He's moving forward, and there's a vampire fleet captain It's moving towards the top of the hill, and that vampire fleet captain has been the target of a little fire and takes a big hit. And what's crazy is that that fireball darn near landed on the gun from that carronade, only barely missing. So this fleet captain, Lore of Death, pays a dear price, and then also pays a price of an overcast when getting up here in order to get a Spirit Leech on the Hammer of Witches in an attempt to get that unit off the battlefield. So almost half the hit points of the vampire fleet captain used up in that attempt. There's one carronade that has been nearly destroyed, but you know, that's the problem with these disgusting barnacle-covered losers known as the Vampire Coast. I'm just taunting them. I like to have fun with them. I can't use them well, so I taunt them. But they are a dangerous faction if used properly. They don't rout. It's the problem with these little buggers. They do crumble at some point like they are now, but they just don't rout. And they become very difficult to deal with. Even units that you look at and you would normally say, well, I'm going to charge that light skirmisher down with my cavalry or hitting them with my artillery, and then they just don't rout. And it's very frustrating because you see these units in front of you that you just, you know, don't really have a lot of respect for because you know how weak they are, but when they don't rout, it creates big issues because you just can't get in and clean up an army really quick like you're used to with living factions. And that's where the Vampire Coast can be quite dangerous, because as you're trying to mop up these units and get them out of the way and they're not routing, you're dealing with these jerks who are always behind the line shooting at you. And then these pole arms are a very effective way to keep expensive units bogged down in combat that really doesn't go well for them. The amount of damage that you can put off with all these gunnery mobs is insane, and then carronades are a fantastic piece of artillery for the cost, and you can see that the Empire is losing the artillery duel. Napoleon would be ashamed if this was his empire, but alas, it isn't. So yeah, these cannons are being displaced by the Vampire Coast, and the Empire is going to be forced to move her state troops forward and seek an engagement that they can win. And they do have a significant skirmishing force. If they can play this right, take out the handguns, then they certainly have a better than fair chance of trying to obtain victory here. Now the Bright Wizard is being moved at will on the flanks. It's not a target of the carronades right now, and we'll be able to get in position to try and pick at the leadership or other vulnerable units for the Vampire Coast. You can see that there's a lot of damage that that Bright Wizard has already been able to cause, as I'm pretty certain. Yeah, indeed. Look at this. The fleet captain is already in hiding, and Arnessa has also gone into hiding because of that Bright Wizard. And that was the right move to make, or else they would have been charred to a perfect well done by the Empire's own battlefield chef, who can flame grill you from a long ways away. So nice move by the Vampire Coast player to get those units out of the way. The bad problem is that leadership is somewhat key when you're the vampires, and although he's protecting those units, he's also keeping them away, and they're not able to use their abilities, so it is a terrible catch to be in here. These flagellants, there's some on both flanks. It's going to be great units for the Empire because it's also a unit that won't rout. And that is going to give the Vampirates problems because they can't necessarily rely on every unit getting their leadership knocked out and then fleeing. The crossbows caused a lot of damage to the deckhand mobs, and the deckhand mobs are liable to fall in combat quite quickly. They're being supported by the crossbows. They're out of range and out of arc of fire for most of these deckhand mob with, the gunnery mob with handguns. And just engaging cheap Vampirate units with your own cheap infantry can go well if they have the right support. Got the Sigmar's Sons now getting absolutely shellacked by a couple of handguns. And then over here, the Morn Ghouls have become visible and are moving in. The Bright Wizard is out on the flank looking for targets of opportunity. And he's going to spit a fireball off here at Arnessa. Oh boy. Oh! Arnessa gets singed terribly by that fireball, and then it's quickly followed up by a burning head, which is going to make its way across several of these gunnery mob units. That Bright Wizard has had some beautiful plays so far. Not going to be tremendous damage with the burning head, but it's going to be damage that was needed. You can see the crossbows now moving up, and they are actually going after the Morn Ghouls. They're really still not at a big threat level from the handguns, because the handguns just don't have an arc of fire on them right now. And so getting over here and cleaning up the Morn Ghouls quickly was probably a smart play. The Empire Knights are getting savaged quite badly trying to get in here and cause damage, because again, these units don't rout. And so you can keep throwing units at the Empire Knights, and they just take bad losses. Aranessa is in big trouble back here. She does have some support from a nearby Polar mob. And finally, the Carronades realize who the real threat is on the battlefield at this point, and they turn on that Bright Wizard and send him packing. So his flaming antics are over. But boy, did he cause some damage. Look what's left of Aranessa and the fleet captain. Will it be enough? We'll see, because this battle is going to be raging on for quite some time, as both players have a lot of ammunition, and neither one has a lot of speed. See the Night Terrors here being pulled back. I think that the Vampire Coast player understands how important the decent speed and damage output of this unit is, and he wants to get it away from all the units who are firing. See a swordsman here coming in to help tie down more of these gunners, and the more gunners that get tied down and thrown into melee, obviously the better it is for the Empire over here. Flagellant going to be a fantastic unit for fighting these deckhand mob, because they won't be able to be routed. There's going to be some Spirit Leech coming in. Kind of surprised how much damage is going down right now on this Sigmar's Son. Volkmar has swung in to help deal with some handguns, but the pirates have their own units that have managed to stay alive and can now put pressure on the skirmish units. You're going to see them coming in over here. With no shields and light armor, they're obviously going to be quite vulnerable. You can see everything being done right now by Volkmar to keep these things off the skirmishers. If the Empire wants to stay in this fight, they're going to need those skirmishers, and there's still going to be quite a bit of fight left. The fleet captain is still alive and now helping to fight, and Aranessa is hanging back in the back, just trying to stay alive for troops. This Empire Knight has regrouped and is looking for targets. The cannon is nearby, so they're going to hit this Carronade crew, but quickly be dispatched by the Night Terrors. And there's a Spirit Leech on Volkmar. Volkmar can heal it off, but it's a good way to just keep pulling some hit points off of him and try and eventually take care of him. But Volkmar's going to get in here and no doubt be looking to maybe KO the fleet captain, and holy crap, does he get a hit on the fleet captain. But then Aranessa is going to throw him down here in the Spearfisher's net. He's going to get trapped with all these pole arms around, and that will not be a very favorable engagement. And there's a berserking Night Terror headed right for him. Yeah, that Night Terror terrorizing swordsman right now. So the Empire losing a little bit of infantry. These pole arms have managed to get in here and just be a nuisance again, because they don't rout. So they can be very annoying to get rid of. Despite their low speed, they've managed to cause some pretty significant damage, and there's another pole arm headed right out here. And despite having gotten shot up, they're going to be difficult to get rid of. The Pistolier that is hiding in the forest was finally sprung, and it was sprung onto the Carronades. And interestingly, instead of sitting back and getting a few shots, I think the Carronades were attempting to target it. So it was forced into melee, and that's not a good place for a Pistolier. It is keeping them from shooting, though, which is advantageous in and of itself. And remember that artillery duel that the Empire lost? Did they actually win it now because of everything that's going on? So we have a great cannon, and the Hammer of Witches still firing in the background and able to cause some damage. Volkmar is alive, however the Vampire Fleet Captain no longer is. Only Aranessa, and Aranessa is quite low on hit points. Not sure she's going to have what it takes to spin around on her little sawfish legs and make something amazing happen, no matter how cool her animations may be. Volkmar got a big hit on her. She is gone. And the Vampire Coast army is in big trouble now. They do not have their leadership. Their skirmishers have been dispatched. And there's very little left other than these Night Terrors for them to make use of. The Pistoliers being held on to until late was a fantastic play. There was just too many skirmishers early in this game to risk bringing them out. The Empire is now in a good position to try and finish this, but the Knight Terrors are not done. They want to have their way with a few more of these Empire troops. It's going to be ugly, folks. It's going to be ugly. So the Knight Terrors causing some pretty tremendous damage there. But there's really nothing left for them to accomplish. There's going to be handguns and crossbows to greet them as they push forward. If they want to win, these units have to be dispatched, but they are berserking, and their likelihood of surviving to complete the battle is gone. So the last few Knight Terrors are about to crumble away, and the Empire pulls out a very hard-fought victory. This was a really cool battle with a whole lot of skirmishing and a long, drawn-out, protracted fight in which both players had to try and get some key advantages to win. And I found this to be a particularly interesting battle to watch, and hope you all enjoyed it too, as it was really quite close. There's quite a few troops left from the Empire here, but you know, the crumbling mechanic is the cause of some of that as well, because of course the vampires just, you know, crumble instead of routing and leaving a few troops left. But a very close battle there, and so despite having lost the artillery duel early, you get the you get the comeback victory there, kind of, right? They get forced forward, and that's always a dangerous position to be in with the Vampire Coast. But the terrain here was nice. It helped give the Empire some cover to come up, and I think the very interesting tactical situation here was that the Empire had that hill that was somewhat blocking the line of fire for the gunnery mobs. And that allowed the crossbows to move forward and open fire on a lot of the vampire units, while themselves not able to be fired upon. And so it put them in a very good position and demonstrated that there are those situations in which a unit with an arc of fire, like an archer, or in this case a crossbowman, was able to take advantage of what is typically a more powerful unit, like the handguns, because the handguns dish out greater damage to armored targets and a lot of damage to any target, to be honest. I mean, there's not a whole lot on the battlefield that likes getting shot up by a unit of handguns. So anyway, I thought this was interesting. Crossbows, not a unit you usually see featured by the Empire. A Bright Wizard, again, not the typical battle wizards that you're going to see on the field. And then Volkmar, definitely a solid pick in certain matchups. But again, not a lord you see all the time. So I really enjoyed this Empire army. It was, in my opinion, pretty well thought out for trying to take down a Vampire Coast build. It had to have a lot of its own skirmishing. It had to have some unique units that wouldn't rout. They are usually kind of a key play in these. And then it did have the ability to shut down what little bit of mobility that the Vampire Coast has. And they always have a very little bit of mobility. But it was able to put it down. The cavalry not able to accomplish much. That's challenging in the matchup with Coast, honestly, because you just kind of get ground down by all the gunfire and cheap units that don't rout out of the way of your cavalry. So it can be tough. But again, nice play by the Bright Wizard. Really enjoyed the play from Zero and Wersha here. Really enjoyed this match. If you all enjoyed it too, make sure to go up and hit that like button. If you didn't like it, then hit the dislike button. Go down in the comments, tell me why it stunk. Tell me what I need to do better. And if you want to see more, make sure you're subscribed. Click the stupid bell that YouTube makes you click, because subscribe doesn't mean subscribe. And you'll be ready to receive more. Hey, thanks for sticking with me while it's a busy week at work. Again, probably not a flood of content this week, but I will keep it rolling. So stick with me. I'll be back at home later this week, and we'll try and resume things more normally. But I do enjoy making this content for you, and even when I'm on the road, I want to keep it going because I love it, and I hope you all love it too. I will see you next time.